people. This is Comic Spot. Comic Spot was created where this Army veteran gets to vet out veterans of comedy. Today, over in this box over here, we have not only a veteran of New York City comedy and much more, we also have a military veteran. We'll get to that in a second. So you get to hear on Comic Spot a veteran of comedy here. And we're going to get to know her. Linette Palladino is my guest. She is a comedian. She's been a comedian for a while. Can't read my notes. And she's New York based, like I mentioned. That is no easy task. She's a veteran of making people laugh in New York and being a military person who served our country proudly. And I think you still serve in a capacity.
I do, yeah.
Yeah, we're going to get to that. So stay tuned. Here we go. Welcome to the little stage here. Linette Palladino. Woo! You feel like you're in a club?
No.
Good answer. You're not in a club. I love the picture behind you. Do you like surfing and going to the beach?
My husband had that done. It's like a high-res photo thing. I think it's even like printed on some sort of acrylic. It's pretty cool. I think he just liked the landscape.
Very beautiful. Well, Linette, you're doing comedy in my favorite city in the world, and I can't afford to live there. I can't afford a broom closet. Yeah. How do you manage to be a mother, a wife, a veteran, some kind of not active duty, but you're in guard or weekend things with the military? You're balancing so many things, and then throw on top of it the spasmodic career of comedy. How do you balance it all, Linette, without going bonkers?
I mean, I'm lucky in that I get a ton of support from my husband. We also have an au pair, so that's helpful with two parents who work full-time, having some built-in childcare. But it's really just having a good support network, and my husband, he's great. But it's a lot. You just don't sleep. It's fine. Nobody needs to sleep.
How old do you have? One child?
Yep, I have a 2-year-old.
Boy?
Girl.
Girl, I was close.
It was 50-50.
What's her name?
Mary.
Oh, Mary, you went with a real standard name. You went with a name that I wouldn't have expected. You know, with Apple and Blue and Northwest. I was like, Blue, you know, Mary.
Yeah, no. I'm very old school.
It's beautiful, beautiful. So how's Mary doing with COVID?
Oh, it's kind of a bummer. We used to do a lot of activities between going to story time and her baby gym class. And now it's even hard to even go have a play date. Like, everybody's still very wary of doing social things, and then they get even more wary with little kids because, one, you're not going to put a mask on a 2-year-old, and two, they touch everything, they put everything in their mouths, so it stinks. It really stinks. It's such a sad time to be a kid.
Yes, it is. So do you use comedy with her? Does she have an appreciation? How old is she?
2.
Yeah. Is she into doing anything funny, or does she have an appreciation for some sort of comedy, even if it's cartoons and slapstick?
Yeah, she definitely does. Well, we don't watch cartoons, but she does find things funny. She does things that are funny, and she'll even say, like, it's funny. So she gets that things are funny and things can make you laugh. That's a concept she understands. I don't really do comedy with her. It makes some silly faces, but
yeah,
that's about it. She's still very much.
Absolutely. There's a little bit of.
I call her. Oh, go ahead.
There's a frozen audio, frozen video. Now you're back. Okay. No, it's still frozen. Can you hear me, Linette?
Just fine, yeah.
I don't understand why it's doing this.
Oh, you're totally fine on my end.
Good, perfect. Okay, I'll keep going like everything's fine. It'll come back. So, talk to me about you becoming a funny person. Were you always funny, Linette?
I like to think so. Yeah, I was always a little bit of a class clown, very talkative. I'm a bit of a performer. I was on stage, like even up through college. I was in the university choir, and I did a run of the vagina monologues. And then you join the army, and you kind of stop those things for a while. So I didn't do any sort of performance activity for about 5 years after I graduated college, and then I fell into comedy.
And when you first went up, what made you go up in a main stage in like New York City?
Oh, I took a class. I started with a class. It was through the Manhattan School of Comedy, which is run by Andy Engel. The class was with Corey Kahaney, and we had our graduation show at Gotham Comedy Club, and that was just pretty much the beginning of the end. There was no looking back after that.
I hear that your graduation, you killed it at your graduation ceremony, and then you started getting booked on real shows, Linette.
I don't know about that. I mean, this was the summer of 2014, so it was almost 6 years ago. Although I never say I've been doing comedy that long, because I had
Bounced her out. Let's see if she can come back in. Let's wait for her. 1 second. I'm gonna.
Oh, I'm back.
You're back. Yay. Okay, so you wouldn't say you've been in it 6 years.
No, and that's most.
If you can hear me, I don't see you and I don't hear you. So I don't understand why I don't hear you or see you. Be right back, you guys. I'm going to see if the issue is on my end.
Hi, I'm here.
Here you are. I'm going to get my phone to make sure. I went to get my phone so I could see if the problem is on my end.
I'm not sure. I switched from cell service to Wi-Fi, so hopefully it's not me.
Hopefully. I'm trying to see how many bars I have. I have 4 bars, so I don't understand. Anyway, so you don't say that you've been doing comedy 6 years because
No.
and tell me why.
Well, because I was deployed. So I was deployed from September of 2016 to July of 2017. And then even leading up to the deployment, there was a lot of training that I would be away for 2, sometimes 3 weeks at a time. So it was hard to pursue comedy in an earnest way when you're away that much. I mean, I certainly tried, but there's a big difference between being on stage 8-10 times a week and then being off stage for 3 weeks at a time.
Absolutely. So what branch of the service are you in?
Army.
Army. And so you're Army Reserve now.
I belong to the New York National Guard right now, but I'm definitely trying to transfer from the New York National Guard to the reserves, the U.S. Army Reserves.
Wonderful. Well, gosh, I want to take a moment to tell you I'm so proud of you for serving these days and serving and being a comedian, serving people jokes and serving our country. So, as a female fellow veteran of yours, I salute you for what you're
Oh,
doing today.
unnecessary. Yeah, I would love to hear about your army. You were army as well?
I was in the army in 1973 to 1976 over in Germany.
Mm-hmm.
And I was one woman among 2,000 men when they put me there. This lady said, "Okay, I'm leaving now that you're here," and I was the only woman with 2,000 men.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah. And then 6 months later, women started pouring in, and they had a whole barracks full of women. And my first sergeant wouldn't let me live there because he actually thought that women only joined the military because they were either nymphomaniacs or they were hookers, and so he wouldn't let me. It was back in the days before Me Too and Gloria Allred, and so he let me stay with his family, and he was very respectful and let me stay there for my safety. Actually, saved my life because one night a guy over at the dental unit decided to go stab some wax at the wax billets and killed the guard and a couple of wax. And then he confessed it called up the police MPs and confessed it, and he got off scot free because they forgot to read him his Miranda rights.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, that's the stuff that happened back in the 70s. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Wow, different era, that's for sure.
Yeah. Now there are a lot of women in the military, and people are more used to women being in. And I'm sure that there's no more Me Tooing going on in the military, right? Tell me
Oh
that's
my
true.
gosh. No, I wish it was true. In fact, on my last deployment, there were some pretty horrific instances of sexual assault. Just really like violent. You're like, wow. And then and nobody in kind of the same manner, nobody was ever brought to justice over the issues. Like I remember leaving the last deployment, we were leaving Kuwait, and there were reward signs, $10,000 offering over a $10,000 reward, offering any information on, the crime that took place.
Oh
It was pretty, yeah. I remember being in college and being in uniform, and I would have very well-intentioned professors handing me articles about sexual assault in the military, and that was in like 2008. And I was like, well, I'm kind of committed, so can't really get out now, but thank you for your concern.
Yes. When you went to I'm assuming that on all your trips, deployments, you've been to different places, Kuwait, maybe Afghanistan, Iraq. I don't know where all you've been.
I've done Iraq, and then Kosovo, and then Iraq again.
Wow. So, in which of those countries did people confuse your Italian look for maybe their look?
Oh, I'm Puerto Rican, but
Okay.
in all of them. I don't really, I have my own look that everybody tries to adopt or make their look. Yeah.
Yes, and I am so sorry for assuming
No, my
Palladino was
last name is Italian. You're right
Oh,
there,
good. Phew, I sound normal again.
no, yeah.
It's Italian name, but you're Puerto Rican. So you're Puerto Rican and Italian?
My mom's Puerto Rican, is the easiest way to explain it.
Beautiful. Well, you're so beautiful. So
Thank you.
yes. So about my military. So there were things that happened to me in the military, and I'm a proud veteran, and I also went through a lot of traumas in the military. And so I fought the VA and finally won that they are too going to pay 100% service connected for PTSD from the men in the military.
That's great.
They fought it and fought it and fought it. So I probably already told you that story long ago, but that's the other piece of me, you know, like it's funny now, but it wasn't funny then. So I think you understand exactly what I'm talking to because you've seen a lot in the military.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
you also you had a TBI, right?
I did. I got hit by a drunk driver in 96.
Oh,
So that didn't happen in the military, but when the TBI came on, all that's when all this PTSD that I had buried came out. So
wow.
I didn't even know I had PTSD till I got the TBI. So that made that extremely hard for them to diagnose and believe, and also to remunerate me for, you know, something that didn't rear its ugly head until I got hit by a drunk driver years later. So yeah, I'm
Wow.
the VA doesn't really help you with a little brain injury. So I rehabilitated myself.
Yeah.
Isn't that comforting?
No.
Not at all. So your comedy, you started doing comedy in New York City, which is like where people hope to end their career at, you know, doing it in those big clubs. So how cool
Yeah.
is that?
I mean, I will say that it's quite a blessing to be in New York City as a young comedian, only for the number of opportunities you have to get on stage, especially when you're still at the phase where you're doing a lot of open mics. You know, I've done, because I travel so much, I've done comedy in scenes like Nashville and Orlando and Sonoma County, California, or even in Tucson. And those are small but very active scenes, and the comics out there do a great job of creating as many open mics as possible. But still, I mean, when you have to drive everywhere and something's like a 30-minute drive from the previous thing, you're still only able to do maybe 2 a night. So whereas comics starting in New York City are doing 10 to 15 mics a week, you're lucky if your comedy scene is offering 10 mics a week. um, and those are just the ones that we as New Yorkers have decided it's worth spending money or time to go to. So it is really a blessing to be in New York, but there are other scenes where you can kind of grow quickly, just because there's not a lot of competition. You know, it might be, maybe 100, 200 comics that you're competing for stage time for. So you can start doing 20 or 30-minute sets very early on, whereas in New York, that's almost unheard of. I would say before the 2-year mark. Um, so yeah, there are definitely pros and cons. I wouldn't know which one is better. Sometimes I wish I was cutting my teeth in a smaller market, but I definitely love New York and the New York comedy scene.
Yes. So what's a goal after this impending apocalypse we have going on right now? What did being shut down and extra time, not that you have extra time if you have a child that you're you know, around all the time, but what the whole shutdown, how is that making you a better mom, wife, comic?
Oh gosh, I wish it was making me better at any of those things. I do still work. I have a day job. I've been extremely busy with that. So, uh,
Wow.
about the first 4 weeks into the lockdown, I wasn't working as much. So that was kind of nice because I got to be creative and go back through some old comedy notebooks and look at stuff that I had been working on way back when. But I've, truth be told, I haven't had much time to be creative these days.
What is your day job, Linette?
I'm a computer systems analyst for the New York City Department of Education.
Wow. Holy Toledo. Well, thanks for doing that for the education division of
Yeah.
New York. Wow. So, in closing, because these interviews have to be short, just due to my finances. In short, what are you most proud of, other than mother, wife, holding down a job, serving our country, in your comedy life? What have you accomplished that you're like, wow, I can't believe I had that opportunity and made the most of it?
Um, that's a really good question.
Thank you.
I don't know. I mean, comedy is such a weird industry in that it's very much about networking connections and who you know. And I don't ever feel like I've gotten stage time just because of that. Like I really, and I hope I'm not wrong about this, I like to think that all of my stage time was earned because I'm funny and professional, and that would have to be it. I do like to say that I humble myself a lot. I have no ego in this game, so whether I'm barking for stage time or somebody is offering me a spot because they want me to drive them into a show, that's fine by me. But I also like to look at it as a lot of people want to bark for stage time. A lot of people have cars and can help drive other comics to shows. But if I'm being asked, I assume it's not just because of what I can offer off the stage as well. I assume it's both on and off stage.
That's a great legacy to have behind you. And I think that's true because I've heard how funny you are.
Thank you.
Yes. So I'm so proud of you. I'm proud of you being a strong female doing comedy and having served our country and still serving our country and balancing everything you balance. Oh my gosh, Linette. And you have a day job. Give me a break. How in the world?
I do. Something's got to give at some point.
Yes.
Hopefully it's the day job.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for coming on. Now that you're a graduate of Comic Spot, you can come back on anytime you have something open up. So, let's say you start a podcast or you have a Zoom show you want me to promote. Tell me and we'll go Facebook Live and promote something for 5 minutes for you.
Oh, thank you so much. That's so kind. Thank you, Linda.
I mean it. Thank you so much for the time. I'm really honored you came on and took the time.
I heard the other day, I was listening, I caught a little bit of your show with Dan Natterman. I didn't realize you had made your way to Vegas. I hope everything is going great there.
I love it. The only drawback is my little apartment has probably 400 square feet, and I've probably seen 500 cockroaches in the 6 months. Okay. Other than that, like I don't mind 1 per square foot per millennial, but not in 6 months. Yeah.
Oh gosh. Well, hopefully your landlord takes care of that.
Yeah, I got to put a fire under him. I flooded my apartment by accident. They turned off the water, so I put a wash rag in the sink, because it didn't matter. And when the water came on, it clogged the sink. Anyway, they know I'm a comedian here because it's a veterans village. It's all veterans here, right?
Oh, so nice.
Yeah, so I get to do comedy anytime I want, right, to veterans. So they came to fix my sink, Linette, and they go, the next day I had a note on my door, and they said, "We understand that you purposefully flooded your apartment so you could get attention." And I'm like,
oh gosh.
Listen, I'm a comedian. I know how to get attention. I don't need to flood my apartment.
Oh gosh, yeah, really.
They don't know their audience, so they're leave me alone.
Who wants that level of inconvenience just for attention? Oh.
Isn't it funny, the stupid stuff that happens in life?
That's crazy.
I wish I was making it up, but I'm not. Thank you so much again, and have a great rest of your day. You made my day, Linette Palladino.
You too. Thanks, Linda. Be well.
You too.
Everybody's talking.